Mike here from BeyondYourWeddingDay.com. And money can be one of the most hot button issues in a marriage. It's common for a couple to get along in all their areas of marriage, but when money comes up, it's like all out war. What if you decided to change that pattern? Is it possible to use money in your marriage to actually build up your spouse? I say the answer is yes, and using a chapter from the book The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman as a guide, I want to take a look at 5 ways you can use words to help build up your spouse in regards to money. The first way is to compliment your spouse. Now, I know it may be really hard for you to think of a way to compliment your spouse when it comes to money, but I really challenge you to find something. Maybe they always pay the bills. Just compliment them on how you appreciate that they always pay the bills. Maybe if somebody's really been bad with money, you can just search for an area where they've really had some improvement, and then you can try to compliment them on finding that or having that improvement with the way they handle money. So that's one way, is to compliment your spouse. The second way is to encourage your spouse. This can be one of the most powerful ways to affirm your spouse. And when it comes to money, there can be many different ways to show encouragement. It can be as simple as saying that you're going to sit down together and put a budget together. It can encourage your spouse to do so, maybe, and offer to help. That they sit down and do that budget. Maybe your spouse brings up that they're thinking about getting a second job or starting their own business. Really encourage them to do so. Use kind words to encourage them to really do something beyond maybe what they even think they're capable of doing. And so the third one is to speak kindly, as I just kind of mentioned there. It's especially important to speak kindly to your spouse in the heat of battle. When the claws come out and there's yelling and screaming and all that stuff, I challenge you to be the mature one and just kind of step back, get control of the situation, and speak kindly to your spouse. The other thing to remember is the tone in which you use it. When you say, boy, you really handle money well. That's a lot different than saying the same thing, as, boy, you really handle money well. Obviously, those two things have way different meanings. So watch your tone when you talk and speak kindly. The fourth way is to speak humbly. Requesting and demanding something are two totally different things. For example, it would really mean a lot to me if we were to sit down and discuss our budget on Thursday night. That is a lot different than saying, we have got to get your spending under control, and I'm going to make a budget, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Obviously, one's a request, one's a demand, and please tell me that you know which one was which. The bottom line is, if you speak to your spouse from a humble, loving attitude, it will not be seen as nagging or belittling. The fifth one is to really impress your spouse by talking about them in a positive way to someone else when they're not around. Chances are it'll get back to them at some point. So in other words, maybe tell your friends, my husband really works hard to provide for a family. I'm so appreciative of him for that. Or, you may say, my wife's an amazing budgeter. She has a system that just works great for her situation. Say those things, especially when they're not around. That's a great way to pump up your spouse using money as kind of a basis. So again, those 5 ways to kind of sum up: compliment your spouse, encourage your spouse, speak kindly, speak humbly, and really impress your spouse by speaking about them positively when they are not around. Do those things, you can really go a long way to making money a great part of your marriage. Again, I'm Mike Young from BeyondYourWeddingDay.com. Thanks as always for watching.